I've been trying to get my story heard, and here locally in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I probably done told this story 1,000 billion times, and it seems like I can't get any help at all. You know, we as peoples, you know, we deal with issues every day, and one of the ones that I hate more than anything is the race issue. But I deal with it every day. You know, being a black man, you know, I deal with it every day. And coming from the South, you know, and anybody that live in the South, they know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of the racial issues that we end up having to deal with as black peoples. And you know, I just wish that it didn't exist. I mean, I don't know. I think it just destroys so many peoples. But I've been dealing with an issue, and it was all because of my race. You know, I moved in this house where I'm living now back in '06, me and my son. And the day I moved in this house, I've had neighbors, some of the neighbors started hanging notes on my door. And they started doing, you know, so much crazy stuff. I started taking pictures because I couldn't even believe this was going on. Now, when I go home and I talk about New Mexico, a lot of times people think it's Mexico. But it's New Mexico. It's on the other side of Texas, between Texas and Arizona. So it's part of the U.S. The day I moved in this house, like I said, you know, some of the neighbors started hanging notes on my door, and, you know, they started doing things that, you know, when it first started happening, I thought it was kids screwing around. But I'm gonna show you some pictures. I mean, cause I started taking pictures because I couldn't even believe this was going on. Coming from the South and dealing with a lot of racial stuff over in, you know, in the South, I deal with it more out here in New Mexico than I dealt with it in the South. I'm talking about to the point where, you know, I got people's actually destroying my property. That was a picture of my mailbox, and they kicked it in. I mean, I bent it back out because I had to use it, but they beat it up pretty bad. Then I go outside, and this is where they egg my house and egg my mailbox. Trying to get out of the sunlight. But I've had them stick busted cartons of eggs in my mailbox. I've had people walk up in my yard, and the only way they can do this, they gotta be putting their fingers in their throat and throwing up on my motorcycle. This is another picture of that. I went to Santa Fe. Santa Fe is about 60 miles from here. The neighbor across the street that was renting that house, he called me up. And he said, Johnny, he said, you must not be home. And I said, no, I'm not home. I said, what's up? He said, man, you had a lot of fire department, you know, the fire department and the police, a lot of police cars was at your house last night. So I came home, and he said, you know, when I got home, one of my trucks was parked in my front yard, and they set it on fire. And this is a picture where they set my truck on fire. And the police department, they got here pretty quick, and they put it out before it. This is another picture of it. And they actually set it on fire at the gas tank, tried to blow it up in my yard. And not only that, I've had 4 of my vehicles, windows and windshields broken out of. You know, I call the cops. Every time something like this happens, I call the cops. The cops never show up. And I got more. I'm not gonna bore you with, all these pictures and stuff, but I'm gonna show you one more. This is another picture of the truck where they set it on fire right there at the gas tank. But a lot of times I don't get no help, from the cops because, I'm a big black guy and I got a black guy voice. So, cops don't show up. I've walked outside and by my son's bedroom window, I found, gun cases. And, a lot of times people ask me, they're like, well, Johnny, won't you move? Won't you go somewhere else? Won't you do that? And I tell them, I say, you know what? It don't matter where I go. I'm a working black man. I work hard for my money. And I said, it don't matter where I go. I've dealt with this in the South. I've been to Georgia. I've been to, I've been to California. I've been to New York. I've been to a lot of different states. I've been to Mississippi. I've been to Alabama. I've been to Florida. And it really don't matter where I'm at. I'm still gonna be black, and I'm still gonna deal with these issues. But anyway, the house issue. I put a second floor in my house. I went through, all the approvals, because I built close to the property line, and anytime you build close to the property line, you got to get a variance. And what that is a city. You got to get approval from the city to do, your construction on your house. And I went through and did all that. I'm a contractor anyway. I do plumbing, heating, and cooling, and I try my best to do everything, according to the city regulation, rules and regulations. And, growing up in Georgia, you learn to, cross your T's and dot your I's. And that's what I do, when I handle my business. I try to make sure I'm doing, things as right as possible. So I don't run into any issues, because, if you don't, you can run into issues, and you don't want them problems. So, the issue that I'm having, like I said, I try to build I live in a all white neighborhood. It's a majority white neighborhood. And some of my white neighbors were coming to me and telling me, because we got a neighborhood association over here. And the association, they meet every month. And some of my white neighbors, everybody in this neighborhood know my name. And because I try my best to help, any of these neighbors that's came and asked me for help, I've tried to help them. I've saved them money like crazy because they my neighbors. So, I'm trying to look out for them. And, some of the same neighbors that I'm doing, work for is some of the same neighbors trying to stop me from living. And anybody that know me, anybody, whether it's people in Georgia, people out here in New Mexico, anybody that know me, they know, I'm willing to try to help anybody with anything. I go out of my way to help people all the time. And for me to be put in a situation where, it's like me against the city, me against, all these neighbors. And, it's no way for me to win against that many people. It's just me by myself trying to fight the city, because the neighbors started all this and they got the city involved. Somebody in this neighborhood knows somebody down at the city. Either that or somebody in this neighborhood work at the city to cause me all these problems that they cause me. And it's been all over the Journal. I'm gonna show you a couple of clips real quick. This is the Albuquerque Journal, and that's on the front page of the Albuquerque Journal. And you can actually Google this, and you can see all the news, the local news articles as well. So here go another clip, another front page of the Journal. And this is another. So I have 3 of these right here by me right now. But it's so much, so much to have happened. I mean, they set out to ruin my life, and they have ruined my life. And I ended up hiring an attorney. And when I hired this attorney, he said that when he first started helping me, he said, Mr. Robinson, he said, whatever we got to do to try to get you some kind of justice, he said, well, that's what we're gonna do. He said, even if we have to go to the Supreme Court, take this to the Supreme Court. And I said, okay, you gotta kind of have faith in, somebody. And when he, I started, letting him, do what he do. I mean, I don't know the law. I don't know nothing about. I'm not an attorney. So we gotta hire people, that's in the field in order to try to protect ourselves. And at first, he seemed like he was, was representing me. And as soon as we started talking to the city attorney, his whole attitude changed. I'm talking about to the point where it's like he was stressing me out just as much as the city was stressing me out. His attitude changed to the point where he'll call me up and he'll say, and it got to the point where I was like, wait a minute, something ain't right. He'll call me up and he said, Johnny, he'll say, Mr. Roberts, we got to go down there. We need to go meet with the city attorney. As soon as he started meeting with the city attorney, I'm telling you, everything about, what he was doing just totally changed. Like, he'll tell me one thing and then a couple of days later, he's telling me something different. And when we would go down and meet with the city attorney, he'd be like, well, hold on. He say, stand out here in the hall for a second. Let me go in there and talk to him first. And I started kind of looking at him like, okay, wait a minute. What are you going to say in front of the city attorney that you can't say in front of me? And he went on to the point where he was, he was going behind my back and just, I got to the point where I didn't know what he was doing. He actually tried to get me to sign my house over to him. Okay. I told him, I said, look, we need a jury trial. I want a jury trial. And for some reason, I don't know what the city promised him, but I know when we went in front of the first judge, the judge dismissed my case, even though they know that they screwed me up. The city screwed me up. The judge dismissed my case, and he had to file an appeal. So when he filed the appeal, and the way he was doing, when he go down and talk to the city attorney, I had to fire him. I told him, I say, look, stop doing what you're doing. I say, because I don't know what you're doing. You're not representing me the way you're supposed to be representing me. But anyway, I've been having to deal with trying to find somebody to help me out. And I'm not the type of person to ask for help. I mean, I've done so much on my own, my son, I raised my son, on my own. And, he's 22 now. And, I started this project on this house when he was, around 10, 11 years old. And most of the upstairs I did for him and his friends because he always had a lot of friends over. So I wanted to give him a place where him and his friends could hang out. I built a huge game room. I did a theater room upstairs. And my son, he already graduated. He in college now, and he didn't get a chance to enjoy the house. And with all of this that they caused me, my son, he having to struggle through college now. I had him set up where he wasn't gonna have no problems going to school. Now he's struggling through college, and he having to pay for a lot of stuff, himself, because they have literally broke me. They drug this out so long. And I've been dealing with this for 8 years, and my house is still not completed. It's still under construction. And I cannot get it done. They put me in the hole so bad. I'm talking about, pulling me away from work. They, my bills got behind. They was trying to make me tear my house down, even though they gave me approval for everything. Not once, but twice when I first started. I've actually had the city attorney, they came out when I got the house to the point that it is now, and here later in this film, I'm gonna walk you down, and I'm gonna show you, the house and the shape that the house in. But they stopped me right before I put my roof on, and I was trying to get my roof on because I had all hardwood floors, and I didn't want the floors to get all damaged. And they started threatening me, saying, if you keep working on the house, we're gonna file criminal charges on you. We're gonna send you to jail. And I'm like, what? It's a house. I'm trying to get my house dried in. When I put the second floor on, I didn't disturb none of my ceilings. I wasn't gonna have to do no work downstairs. But it rained so much in this house until everything got damaged. I mean, I got so much stuff that I had to throw away. I ended up getting mold, it still got some mold in some places. And I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to go through the whole house and tear open some of the walls to try to figure out, where some of this mold is before I can even start by building the house, even if I get a chance to, finish it. I've talked to so many people's, I went down to the city to talk to the mayor about 20 times. He never would come out and talk to me, not once. I went to Santa Fe about 3 or 4 times trying to talk to the governor up there. She would never come out and talk to me. I've called about 4 or 5 different senators, probably more than that. I can't remember how many I've called, but I've called so many, senators. I've talked to the Department of Justice. I've talked to ACLU. I've talked to HUD. I've talked to, I called NAACP. I've called, I've talked to and I cannot believe in, with all these different departments that help us, when we get screwed over like this by the city, you got all these different departments and want none of them. I cannot get help from one person. When all the vandalism was going on, the FBI came out here once, okay? And when he came out, he's supposed to have been doing an investigation, and this was his investigation. He walked over and spoke with me. He walked 20 feet up the street. He walked 20 feet the other way. He left. I never heard from him again. He also told me, I was showing him all the pictures of all my property getting damaged and where they set my trucks and stuff on fire. And he told me, he said, well, Mr. Robinson, to prove that it's a racial thing, they got to be setting crosses on fire in your yard. And I was like, man, they setting my vehicles on fire. I don't care if they set a cross on fire. They set my vehicles on fire. I'm having to fix this stuff. Okay? He didn't care. And I just can't believe that I've been dealing with this for so long. And now I'm in a situation where, I'm trying to work, but this screwed my company up, my business. It screwed me up so bad. I lost a lot of contracts. I've lost, so much time going back and forth down to the city, just trying to keep my house up. And it's just so much more to tell. Like I said, normally I wouldn't even, get on here and do a video. I just, I always just handle things myself. But they put me in a situation where they really screwed my life up, and I don't know, am I going to ever be able to, get out of this hole that they put me in? And, I keep praying that one day, God will make a way for me, or he'll send somebody my way. But the 8 years that I've been dealing with all this drama, it hadn't happened. And, I keep trying to keep my head up. Something like this right here it's a hard pill to swallow. When you done worked all your life and tried to be, as fair as you could be to everybody, and you help everybody as much as I do, this is a pill that you just can't swallow. And, I even went as far as trying to call, some of the peoples that, that's in maybe in the media, like D.L. Hughley, I've tried to send emails to him. I've tried sending emails to Oprah. I've tried sending emails to Obama. These people is really hard to get in touch with. I understand that. They got a life, and, I'm one person just, dealing with, my issues, and they got issues that they deal with. So I understand that. But, I felt like, I got to try something. And I just tried reaching out to these people just because, to help me, I don't know, get some kind of exposure. I don't know, they probably can't do anything to help me, but, I don't know that until I try, to see, all I can do is ask. And, but, like I said, trying to get in touch with people like that is really, really hard. I've actually called, all the big national news stations, and, most of them send me letters back and say, oh, ain't nothing we can do. We ain't gonna run your story. I tried getting in touch with Roland Martin. And I like Roland Martin. I like that he don't back down from anything. I watch him all the time. And, we as black people, we need somebody like him, because of all the craziness goes on. But I'm in a situation that they put me in because of the color of my skin. And like I said, the neighbors that was going to, some of my white neighbors that was coming and telling me what they, when some of them, I don't know if it was in the meetings or after the meetings or whatever, but this is what they was telling me. They said, well, like I said, everybody in this neighborhood know my name, but they called me the colored people's on the corner. And then, I've had neighbors come and say, well, Johnny, they said they ain't want no black people in the neighborhood. And I'm like, if anybody improving the neighborhood, I'm improving the neighborhood. I'm working on my house, and everybody that's asked me to help them out, I've worked on their house and barely charge them anything because of my, because of them being my neighbor. So anyway, I can go on and on and on. This it's just so much more. To be dealing with this for 8 years and my house still ain't completed. That's the only reason, I'm doing this video, and I'm gonna post it. Before I end this video, I'm gonna take you through the house real quick and kind of show you some of the pictures. I wanna show you some of the rain damage that it caused. I'm gonna see if I can get my computer to pull up, and see if I can show you some of that. But I'm gonna take you downstairs, and I end up putting up these signs because I couldn't get no kind of people just pretty much just been ignoring me, with me trying to get help. I call and call. They never call me back, and it's just been crazy. It's been real crazy. And I keep trying to keep my head up because I feel like one of these days God gonna work things out, and I pray that He do. If you want to get in touch with me, my number is 505-975-2385. Or you can email me at dandjpipe@aol.com. That's DANDJ Pipe, PIPE @aol.com. Like I say, I never ask people for help, but I'm looking for some help on this one. Anybody got any kind of advice, I'm more than welcome to listen to you. It really saddened me that, in this day and time that me as a black man still have to deal with so much. And I've dealt with it every day of my life. I never thought it would get to a point where they would stop me from living, I think about our ancestors and, how they didn't have anything, and they was always, smart peoples, and they always got, end up getting stopped from doing some of the things that they was trying to do to have a better life. And for me to be here trying to have a better life for me and my son, and have to deal with, the drama that I've been dealing with, I ain't got no choice but to try to see if anybody, you know, I mean, I hadn't been able to find one person here in New Mexico that can help me out. So I'm still hoping and still praying though. Let me, I'm gonna pick up this camera and I'm gonna take you downstairs. Well, first of all, I'm gonna show you, you know, upstairs where I'm at now. I'm actually in the game room. And you can tell that, you know, the walls is like, you know, is not finished. You know, the house is still open. I don't have, you know, all the insulation in the house. You know, my bill's been just trying to keep the lights and the water and the, you know, the utility and stuff on. It's been outrageous. And I'll be, you know, because I'm heating up the outside. My light bills, my water bill, my electrical bill be like $500 a piece a month, $600, you know, just trying to keep the lights on. Because if I don't keep the lights on, they're gonna come and condemn my house, and I guarantee you somebody down at the city will buy it. Because it's a nice house if I can just finish it up. So I'm gonna do this real quick, and let's see if I can. Okay, so this is my game room. Well, it will be my game room if I ever get it finished. Okay, you can tell the walls is incomplete. Going through here, there's another room in my house, and you can see all the walls. I still don't even have drywall up yet, so it's still, all the insulation hadn't been installed yet. So it's still open to the outside. Okay, and we're gonna go down. You can see my floors is not done. And downstairs I had all hardwood floors, but all of them floors gonna end up having to be redone. So I'm gonna let you see some more of the wall that hadn't been finished yet because of this. And this is downstairs. So I'm gonna walk downstairs because I want to show you this is at my front door, and as you can see, it hadn't been completed. I mean, I still got a lot of work to do. But if they hadn't have stopped me from putting my roof on, I wouldn't have had to do any work down here on the bottom floor. So you can see, let me turn the lights on. You can see the ceiling hadn't been done. All the walls I'm having to replace because all the ceiling came down, all the drywall came down. You look in the kitchen area. I'm gonna turn this light on. And if you look up there, all that was mold. I had to pull all that out just to get all that mold out. All the black stuff that you see up there is mold. So we'll walk in here real quick. So this is all my hardwood floors, and I mean, you can see how they all split. I mean, if I mash down on that right there, you can see all the boards moving. So I don't know what am I going to be able to do with. I might have to pull the floors to try to replace them. I'm just going to show you in here real quick. And this is one of the rooms I hadn't even started working on yet. If you can look at, turn that light on. Well, that's kind of, you can see the ceilings. They still got a bunch of rain damage on top. So every room in the house, and you can see I just replaced this ceiling. And every room in the house, all my drywall came down. So let's walk outside And I'm gonna show you, I had this house all wrapped, ready to go. So I could put the stucco on. Now the whole outside gonna have to be redone. So this is going outside in the front yard, and I'm gonna start from one side. As you can see, all my wrap have came off. All up there at the top because of the weather. So I end up putting these signs up because I couldn't get the news to come out. The only time the news came out is when the city called them. And somebody from the city that worked down at the city told the news that they screwed up, and they screwed up bad. So that's the only reason the city ended up coming out, because I kept calling them and tried to get them to come out. So this is my house with all these signs up, and I still can't get anybody to do anything. I'm gonna zoom in so you can see the signs. Now the city had the news, excuse me. The city had the news came out and lied and say they gave me $30,000. So I called the news and I told them, I said, nah, you come out there lying saying you can't get in touch with me and the city gave me $30,000. I said, if the city would have gave me $30,000, they would have showed you the council check where I cashed it. But anyway, that's the house. And I'm gonna walk in this corner so you can see the whole house. So we're gonna go back in and I'm gonna see if I can pull up some of the damage on my computer when I start this camera back up.